So something really cool is happening in Oklahoma City. They're turning an old airport into a new neighborhood. Seriously. This is the Wheeler District, a 150-acre mixed-use development undergoing phased construction just across the river from downtown OKC. It's a pretty unique flavor of new urbanism. There's Scandinavian-style city planning, there's housing, there's green space, there's shopping and dining, hike and bike trails, third places, and even a Ferris wheel for some reason. It's a real hidden gem as far as I'm concerned. But this land wasn't always so urbanist, of course. See, back before the project broke ground in 2017, all of this new urbanism was nothing but an abandoned downtown-adjacent airport. The airport was born here in 1947, but after some land annexation by the city and the airport itself going bankrupt in the early 2000s, it and its surrounding land were auctioned off and marked for a complete and total redevelopment. Redevelopment into a place for people instead of planes, or cars for that matter. For over a decade, from 2006 to 2016, this place was expertly planned, and so far, the execution has been nothing short of sensational. It's walkable, bike-friendly, and is now sustainably ingrained within Oklahoma City's urban core. When I was driving across the country from LA to the East Coast, the last thing I expected to see on my stop in Oklahoma City was some of the most creative new urbanism west of the Mississippi. But that's exactly what I found. And today, I'm going to take you through all of it. Right here, from Fourth Place, your place to learn about US geography, urbanism, transportation, and city planning. So in 2006, Oklahoma City's DWN Downtown Air Park was auctioned off and eventually purchased by the Humphreys family, headed by the former mayor of Oklahoma City, Kirk Humphreys, and his two sons, Blair and Grant. The proposed project, master planned by Dover Coal & Partners, was stalled for nearly a decade because of the 2008 financial crisis. But after finally breaking ground in 2017, phases 1 and 2 of the Wheeler District are now complete. People already live, work, and play here. The full build-out is going to be absolutely massive, so today we're just walking through the smaller slices that are up and running. We'll start at the unofficial town square of the Wheeler District. This space is like a mini new urbanist downtown. It's pretty sweet. The first thing you'll notice is this super cool pedestrian-only promenade. It's nothing like other new urbanist projects around American urban cores that tend to feel a little overbearing. You know, the large glass towers and 8-story tall luxury apartment buildings? That's just not what the Wheeler District is going for. Instead, they built something with a really traditional, almost European-feeling frame. This little area is entirely mixed use, the best and really the only way to build a town square. A few floors of residential stacked atop some shops. Now, this was the scene at 5 p.m. on a federal holiday, so it was quieter than usual. But most other days, locals love this place, especially on Friday farmers market days. A surprising amount of small businesses have already claimed their brick-and-mortar space here too. You have a farm-to-table butcher, a juicery, a women's boutique, a tattoo parlor, a barber shop, and a kids' clothing store. But that's just here along the promenade. In the newly built block adjacent to it, you've got things like a community convenience store with fresh bread and produce, a pizzeria and gelateria, a florist, and a bridal store, but they've managed to squeeze in even more retail space. Across the pedestrian plaza, there's this big old farmhouse-looking building. It's where they've built one of the community's third places, a brewery with an outdoor patio. Next to that, they built this airplane hangar-looking building, complete with office space above a coffee shop, a fitness studio, and a sushi joint. Take note of the form of everything. You won't believe what it reminds me of, and that's because it's reminding me of parts of New York City. Of course, we're in Oklahoma City, but do these brownstones not remind anybody else of walking through parts of Brooklyn, like Cobble Hill or even Williamsburg? I feel like that had to have been what the planners were going for here, obviously on a much, much smaller and cheaper scale, of course. The potential here is really promising. Again, this is still a very young project, but I already like the things that I'm seeing here. Right behind me, I found one of the most surprising elements of this public square area. What you're looking at is the old DWN Airport Terminal building. I can't believe they actually found a way not only to keep this place around, but to center the public square around it. They even put a restaurant inside and a play area for the kiddos out front. I'm really loving the mixed-use part of the Wheeler District. Oh, and by the way, all of these small businesses are incredibly highly rated. It seems like they've already become some beloved third places within the community, which is really great to see. But this mixed-use area is just a small part of what's already been built up here at the Wheeler District. Welcome to Runway Boulevard, the main thoroughfare of the residential part of the community. And why wouldn't it be, right? If your job was to turn an airport into urbanism, of course you're going to turn the 3,200-foot-long runway into the main boulevard. But this isn't any ordinary car-centric community corridor. They took the runway and transformed it in such a smart way. 2 one-way streets on either side, complete with tree-lined sidewalks and space for street parking. In the middle, 2 strips of green space surround a center-running pedestrian lane and bikeway. This is such a strong use of that wide leftover runway space. Like, yeah, they could have built a manicured median and widened the roads for cars on either side, but they didn't. Doing it this way keeps cars slow and makes the most of the space for people. It's awesome. I had a great time walking around this part of the community. Runway Boulevard was both visually stimulating and serene. It's such a unique urban form. With the garage access kept to alleyways out back, the runway stays clean and quiet. All of the residential build-outs here were modern, but not obnoxiously so. Each of the homes took their own unique architectural liberties, differing in style and color and texture and form. Scandinavian-style cottage and court homes seem to be having their moment in American new urbanism, likely because they're so easy to associate with great walking and bikeability. Along the side streets, it was just as intelligent. Tall homes wrapped around bright, open-facing community green spaces. Along Pioneer Street, I found the largest of the green spaces. It had a playground, pickleball courts, wide-open park space for picnics and playing soccer. I found my favorite residential row along Wheeler Street, a modern take on Charleston's famous Rainbow Row, which I actually made a visit to myself not too long ago. I only wonder if in 200 years from now, Instagram influencers will be taking selfies in front of these homes instead. Finding these pockets of playfulness and creativity was one of the most rewarding things while walking through the Wheeler District. And there was so much variety in the urban texture too. Condos, single-family homes, apartments, mixed-use blocks. It almost makes you feel like you're walking through one of the city's older, more lived-in historic neighborhoods. As I was exploring the sidewalks on either side of Runway Boulevard, I stumbled into this super narrow passageway where things suddenly got really Dutch. Don't believe me? Well, the tight corridor these homes are facing here is actually part of the Wheeler District's bikeway network that they're developing. This stretch that I'm standing on is called Peddler's Lane. It's eventually going to funnel cyclists to and from the bikeway along Runway Boulevard and the greater greenway system that's planned here. The Wheeler District has already set itself up as one of the best neighborhoods for cycling in Oklahoma City's urban core. But as the Wheeler District continues to build out, that bike connection between the Wheeler District and downtown OKC is only going to get better. A real benefit to people who just don't want to own a car. Now, I know what you're thinking. What we have in America feels like, for the most part, pockets of great urbanism surrounded by decades of detrimental car-centric development. And you're right. It's going to take a lot of time to undo all of that. But Oklahoma City has some big plans for expanding their streetcar network and building up a brand new commuter rail system too. It's just unfortunate that those finished products are also really far from being realized. Though right now, at a 20-minute bus ride between Wheeler and the Santa Fe Depot downtown, coupled with all of this river-adjacent greenway, means that the Wheeler District, even in its infancy, already makes car-free living feasible in OKC. And if you know anything about this part of the country, that's impressive. The future phases of development here also look really promising. More space for community flourishing, more places to ride your bike to lunch or to work or to hang out with friends, more housing in all shapes and sizes, and more small business in a part of the city that will really benefit from it. They're going to add things like an urban farm and a ton of public waterfront space with pavilions and even better greenway infrastructure than already exists. You know, I really thought I had this place all figured out. Until I started thinking too long about the name. The Wheeler District. That's odd. I thought they'd be better off going with something like the Flight District or the Terminal District or something. And then I found this. Before any of the homes and businesses I showed you today moved in, there was a Ferris wheel. It's situated on land that is yet to be developed, all the way on the opposite end of the runway we've explored so far. The story of the Wheeler District Ferris wheel begins in 1996 in Los Angeles, of all places. This piece was the world's first solar-powered Ferris wheel, and it was installed on the Santa Monica Pier, where it lived overlooking the Pacific Ocean until 2008. By then, it had reached the end of its operational life in California, and the Pier's management company decided to commission a newer, higher-tech replacement. So rather than scrapping the Ferris wheel, they chose to put it up for auction on eBay. Yeah, really. Meanwhile, in Oklahoma City, Grant Humphreys, one of the guys who purchased the downtown airport, happened to be in the market for something that he could use to rebrand his newly acquired site from a desolate airport into a family-friendly destination. He needed an icon, a brand mark, and it seemed like he had found just what he was looking for. Humphreys submitted the winning bid of $132,400 to finish off what had been a feisty 10-day eBay auction. There were 5 other bidders and 35 total offers back and forth. But in the end, Humphreys got his Hollywood icon, and the future neighborhood got its namesake. But it would be some time before it saw Oklahoma soil. After the auction ended, the wheel was dismantled, shipped from California, and placed into storage in Wichita, Kansas. It sat there for nearly 8 years while the economy recovered and the master plan for the Wheeler District was finalized. Humphreys invested roughly $1 million, nearly 10 times the purchase price, to have the wheel completely refurbished, stripped of its ocean rust, repainted, and upgraded with modern lighting. Finally, in 2016, the wheel made its return to the public eye, not overlooking the Pacific Ocean, but instead the Oklahoma River. It was installed right here as the very first piece of new infrastructure for the up-and-coming Wheeler District. Despite my well-documented fear of heights, and the fact that I'd never actually been on a Ferris wheel before, well, I got up there, and the views made it all worth it. You can really see everything from up here. The river trails, downtown OKC, what's left of the old runway, and best of all, the Wheeler District in all its glory. So, if you ever find yourself in Oklahoma City like I did, do not miss this wonderful slice of new urbanism. You know what? After visiting the rest of the city the next day, there's actually a lot more must-sees in America's 20th biggest city than I would have expected. I want to make a video about all of it. Just let me know down in the comments section if you'd like to see that. Also, Happy New Year! I finally set up a Patreon. It's pretty affordable, and if you're a member, it comes with some pretty cool perks with all the different tiers. It's another way to support me and the making of my videos more directly, and I look forward to building a community there with all of you. I'll link those details down in the description and in the comments section. Anyway, I'll see you next week, right here, from 4th place.